The first time I experienced signs of mental health issues when I was 18. I was a student at Cal Berkeley. I was working on the free speech movement to end discrimination in housing for ethnic minorities, and I went without sleep for about 6 days and had a nervous breakdown, and that was the start of my experience. Over the 10-year time I was in mental health treatment, I was diagnosed or labeled 5 different diseases by 4 different doctors. So I've been diagnosed or labeled psychothymic personality disorder, been labeled manic depressive. I've been diagnosed as having paranoid schizophrenia. At age 20, I was diagnosed as chronic schizophrenia undifferentiated. The only label that made sense to me was adjustment reaction to adulthood. Starting Cal Berkeley, going berserkly in Berkeley, that made sense to me, adjustment reaction to adulthood. In the 60s, the system did not believe that those of us with major mental health issues could recover, and it was very much a authoritarian kind of medical model approach. So when I was hospitalized, I didn't have any rights to have friends, make telephone calls, have visitors. I was given shock treatments against my will, given medications against my will. There was a period during the shock treatments that I was completely without memory. I mean, I didn't know who I was, what my name was. I didn't know where I was. Perceptions were bad. It was very terrifying to not know, to not have any memory. I can actually remember going through that just before I lost my memory loss. I was actually literally tackled by the doctors and forced to get the shock treatment because I really didn't want it. I could tell I was going into this confusion state. So yeah, by far the shock treatments was the worst thing for me. The last time I got out of the hospital in '66, I'd gone from being Jay Mahler person to being Jay Mahler mental patient. A lot of it had to do with my sense of self, my self-image. So when I got home, I slept about 20 hours a day for over the year. But I do think there is something about time being a healing. Actually, that time that I was alone, there was some healing going on. But the things that really got me going, there was a funding cut in Alameda County where the psychiatrist that I was going just once every 3 months to pick up a big bottle of pills, he lost his job. So thank goodness there was this funding cut, because then I got into a group with other people that had mental health issues, and I had a very good psychologist named Dr. Moore. It was Dr. Moore that encouraged me to go major in psychology, so studying other approaches, going back to school was very important. Getting a job. My mother had passed away, but a good friend of hers worked for Kelly Girls, so she got me a job through Kelly Girls working at a drugstore, and that was very significant to my recovery. So there were a number of things over a several-year period, including going to church. It was very important for me to go to church and kind of get in touch with my spiritual side that was kind of totally denied and devalued by the public mental health system.
So today across the country, started by the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, prayer days, National Day of Prayer Days are happening for those of us with serious mental health issues. And we know that 80% of those of us with serious mental health issues are unemployed. So today I hope we'll pray that people get jobs. We know that people with mental health issues are dying 25 years earlier than the general public at age 52 instead of 77. We recently lost DeWitt, Darnell, Michael Bell. Pray that we live longer and get the physical health needs that we need.
When I first got involved with the consumer survivor movement, it was very much an anti-public mental health system. Most consumer survivors would have nothing to do with the public mental health system, so I would be the person that was willing to develop relationships with providers that shared our approach and to try and work with the system to listen to us and to do things that would support us. To me, most importantly, the consumer movement is a civil rights movement. It really started by many of us who had been mistreated and poorly treated in state hospitals, and hospitals came together to try and call attention to what was wrong with the system, plus to support each other in validating what we had been through. Currently, I work for Alameda County Behavioral Health Care Services as the Consumer Relations Manager, and we're responsible to make sure that the consumer voice is reflected in the transforming of the public mental health system. If you look literally at what I'm doing now, I'm actually kind of phasing out. I'm kind of going through a process of retiring and figuring out what I'm going to do, but you never retire from a cause. So what I'm hoping to do is to really work on spirituality and this 10 by 10 campaign, which is an effort to try and increase the life expectancy of people with mental health issues. It's kind of a tragedy that people with severe mental health issues die at an average of 25 years earlier than the general public. So people with mental health issues are dying at 52 instead of 77. I think before I had my nervous breakdowns, I felt I didn't have very much sensitivity to people that were going through difficult times. And I think what I've been through personally has kind of helped me to try and be sensitive to other people that are going through difficult times, no matter what kind of the situation is. And also I think having been involved in the consumer survivor movement has given me a purpose in life, and this gives me something meaningful that I feel I'm making a contribution.